Good afternoon, everybody. Please be seated. And I have a statement for the House. I have a statement for the House on the occasion of Manitoba Day. But before I begin, I would like to introduce some very special guests we have in the Speaker's Gallery. We have with us today the Honourable Tony Aquak, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Nunavut, Andrew Carrier, the Manitoba Métis Federation Minister of Métis Community Liaison Department, Residential and Day Schools, and David Baudouin, the Manitoba Métis Federation Minister of Agriculture. On behalf of all honourable members here, we welcome you to the Manitoba Legislature. Tomorrow, May 12, 2023, marks the 153rd anniversary of the day the Manitoba Act received royal assent in the Canadian Parliament. This act created the province of Manitoba, and accordingly, May 12th has been designated as Manitoba Day. In honor of this historic occasion, as we have done for the past several years, our Sergeant-at-Arms carried our original Manitoba mace in today's Speaker's Parade. Carved from the wheel hub of a Red River cart in 1870, this mace made its first formal appearance on March 15, 1871, at the first session of the first Manitoba Legislature, held in the home of A.G. Bannatyne in the Red River settlement. The Bannatyne home was destroyed by fire in December 1873, but thankfully the mace survived. After 13 years of service, our original mace was retired in 1884 when our current mace debuted. The original mace has a permanent home on display outside of the Speaker's office, coming out of retirement annually for this celebration and other special events. This important historical artifact sits on the table today as a tribute to the rich history of our province. In addition to the original mace, the star blanket cushion and the beautiful beaded mace runner gifted to us by the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs in 2010 are also on display today to honor Manitoba's Indigenous heritage as we celebrate Manitoba Day. As well, this year we have been gifted 2 new significant artifacts to enhance and enjoy our heritage display. First, we have a Métis sash gifted to us by the Manitoba Federation. President David Chartrand presented this sash to me this week, and I am pleased that Minister Carrier and Minister Baudouin are able to join us on his behalf in the gallery today. Second, we have a soapstone carving of a polar bear, a gift to this assembly from our northern neighbours, the Legislative Assembly of Nunavut. George Hicks Jr., the Deputy Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Nunavut, personally delivered the carving to us earlier this week, and I'm very grateful that Speaker Aquak is with us today in the gallery as well. All of these artifacts serve as a reminder that this Assembly chamber and legislative building reside on the traditional lands of Indigenous people, as we recognize each day in our land acknowledgement. I am honored and humbled that we are able to include these treasured artifacts in our annual celebration of Manitoba Day, and I trust that this tradition will continue past my tenure as your Speaker. With this rich history in mind, I would encourage all honourable members to reflect on the solemn responsibility we all share to serve our constituents in this Assembly with honour and respect, and recall that whatever heated debates occur in this place are all part of a very long legacy of service to the people of this province. Orders of the day. Routine proceedings. Pardon me. Routine proceedings. Introduction of bills. The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Madam Speaker, I move, seconded by the MLA for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 214, the Ecological Reserves Amendment Act, Ecological Corridors, la loi modifiant la loi sur les réserves écologiques, corridors écologiques, be now read a first time.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for River Heights, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tyndall Park, that Bill 214, the Ecological Reserves Amendment Act, Ecological Corridors, be now read a first time. The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Madam Speaker, this bill provides the legislative framework for the formal designation of ecological corridors, sometimes called wildlife corridors, in Manitoba. For example, ecological corridors along a river like the Little Saskatchewan River or the Red River could now, under this legislation, be designated an ecological corridor formally and potentially be available for public support from the federal government. It is very different from that model for a provincial park or federal park because there are so many landowners involved. It involves a partnership in stewardship moving forward. Thank you.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. Committee reports. The Honourable Member for Brandon East.
Madam Speaker, I wish to present the third report on the Standing Committee of Justice.
Your Standing Committee on Justice
Dispense.
presents the following.
The Honourable Member for Brandon East.
Madam Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member from Dawson Trail, that the report of the committee be received.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for Brandon East, seconded by the Honourable Member for Dawson Trail, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed? Agreed and so ordered. The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to present the fifth report of the Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development.
Your Standing Committee on Social and Economic Development.
Dispense. The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Brandon West, that the report of the committee be received.
It has been moved by the Honourable Member for La Vérendrye, seconded by the Honourable Member for Brandon West, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed? Agreed. Agreed and so ordered. Tabling of reports. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage, and I would indicate that the required 90 minutes notice prior to routine proceedings was provided in accordance with Rule 27, Bracket 2. Would the Honourable Minister please proceed with his statement?
Madam Speaker, thank you for your beautiful opening remarks today, celebrating and recognizing Manitoba Day. Today I rise, well, actually for tomorrow, May 12, 2023, as Manitoba Day. This marks the 153rd anniversary of the Manitoba Act receiving royal assent in Ottawa. On a day like today, it is important to pause and acknowledge the heritage, history, and traditions of all peoples in our province when it was founded and all those who live here today. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory and the homeland of the Red River Métis. This year, I am honored that we are able to include two new artifacts on the clerk's table to celebrate Manitoba's Day. The Métis sash, gifted by President Chartrand of the Manitoba Métis Federation, and a soapstone carving of a polar bear gifted by the Legislative Assembly of Nunavut. Thank you for these beautiful artifacts. Today, Manitoba is rich with diversity, inclusivity, and a multicultural heritage that enriches our lives every day. We have the opportunity to explore objects, records, and stories of our very own archives, libraries, and museums. Our province represents a variety of cultural traditions, languages, art, food, and so much more. Whether you were born here or, like me, were given the opportunity to experience the warmth of friendly Manitoba, our province is the sum of its parts. Diversity is our strength, and we are stronger together. Together, we have grown from a postage stamp to this land we are so proud of. I encourage each and every Manitoban to take this opportunity to explore our wonderful province and its rich history. Diversity is strength, Unity is beautiful, heritage is knowledge, and together we are friendly Manitoba. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Manitoba Day.
The Honourable Member for Burrows.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 153 years ago, on May 12th, the Manitoba Act received royal assent after months of negotiation with the father of the province, Louis Riel. Riel and his provisional government had a vision for a Manitoba in which all peoples were treated equally and in which Indigenous communities played a central role in our cultural, social, and political landscape. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to Riel's vision for the province. We celebrate how far we have come, but we also recognize how far we have to go. When we see Manitobans come together to help others in their time of need, we can hope that Louis Riel would be proud. But we know we have more to do to ensure that all Manitobans are treated equally in this province, regardless of race or socioeconomic background, and more to empower Indigenous peoples. Only then Riel's vision for our province be fully realized. Celebrating Manitoba Day also highlights the unique features and attractions of the province. From the natural beauty of Riding Mountain National Park to the rich history of the Forks National Historic Site, Manitoba has much to offer visitors and residents alike. The province's diverse population, including its Indigenous communities, also contributes to its vibrant cultural scene. Manitoba Day is a significant day for the province of Manitoba and its Indigenous communities, providing an opportunity to acknowledge the history and contributions of Indigenous peoples while also celebrating the unique features and attractions of the province. As we look towards the future, let us continue to work towards reconciliation and building a brighter future for all Manitobans. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Madam Speaker, I ask for leave to respond to the Minister's statement.
Does the member have leave to respond to the ministerial statement? Leave has been granted. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to recognize our province's entry into Confederation. Back in 1870, it was Louis Riel and his provisional government who began the effort of founding Manitoba and having it become a part of Canada. The Riel government wrote a Bill of Rights, as we all know, and this bill recognized language rights, religious freedoms, representation in Ottawa, and the interests of the Red River Métis population. The Bill of Rights became the Manitoba Act and was passed by Parliament on May 12, 1870. And then in June, the land was transferred from the Hudson's Bay Company to the Government of Canada. And on July 15th, Manitoba was officially established as part of Confederation. Madam Speaker, Indigenous people were the first people here in Manitoba, and while today we recognize Manitoba Day, we also need to recognize that Indigenous reconciliation is an ongoing process. Part of this process is having September 30th be considered the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. It is one tangible move we can make now, and we are calling on this provincial government to do so. Since Manitoba became a part of Confederation, our province has become home for many people around the world. We're so fortunate to live in a cultural mosaic filled with people of different backgrounds and skills. In wrapping up, I wanted to share a couple neat facts about Manitoba. Did you know that the Forks is actually the longest skating trail in the world, stretching 8.45 kilometers? And the coldest temperature ever recorded in Manitoba was on December 24th in 1879 at minus 47.8 degrees Celsius, Madam Speaker. And with those few words and those fun facts, I want to thank the member, the minister, for bringing forward today's statement, and you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the opportunity to speak to it. Thank you.
In celebration of Manitoba Day, and you all have a little flag on your desk provided by the Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage, how about a wave to all Manitobans and Happy Manitoba Day? Further ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Northern Development.
Madam Speaker, as we observe Wildfire Prevention, Mitigation and Preparedness Planning Week, I want to remind all Manitobans of the importance of being vigilant in preventing and responding to wildfires. This is especially critical as we approach camping and fishing season, which brings more Manitobans outdoors. Wildfires are not exclusive to Manitoba, and we will always be ready to help where needed. That's why I'm pleased to announce our government has sent 2 Canadair CL-415 tankers and a Bird Dog aircraft, along with 5 pilots, 2 air attack officers, and 2 engineers to assist in fighting wildfires in Alberta. Our firefighters have now arrived in Lac La Biche and are ready to help our prairie neighbour. I want to extend my gratitude to these brave men and women for their service and dedication to protecting communities. A small fire can quickly become a large fire, so I encourage all Manitobans to take the necessary precautions to prevent wildfires, including being mindful of campfires, disposing of cigarettes properly, and following all fire restrictions and bans. We must all do our part to protect our province. Thank you.
And I would indicate that the required 90 minutes notice prior to routine proceedings had been provided in accordance with Rule 27, Bracket 2. The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As spring arrives in Manitoba, it brings warmer temperatures. With that, the risk of wildfire, unfortunately, human activity can increase the risk of wildfire, making them more dangerous. Wildfires are becoming increasingly unpredictable as climate change worsens. Research shows that climate change will increase the frequency and severity of droughts in the prairies, which will increase the likelihood of wildfires. We can act now to prevent worsening wildfires. Most summers, Manitobans have to be evacuated from northern communities due to wildfires. Unfortunately, this government is refusing to take meaningful action on climate change. At the same time, they've actively reduced our ability to fight fires by privatizing our fire suppression program and our water bombers. We also see a reduction in the number of available initial attack firefighters, which puts more northern communities at risk of out-of-control fires. We know right now there are devastating fires burning in Alberta. We appreciate that Manitoba has sent resources to Alberta to help fight these fires, and I want to thank all the firefighters who are willingly putting themselves in dangerous conditions to protect all our communities. It's important that we send firefighters to assist other
The member's time
jurisdictions.
has expired. Is there leave to allow the member to complete the statement? Leave has been denied. The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Madam Speaker, I ask leave to speak to the minister's statement.
Does the member have leave to respond to the ministerial statement? Leave has been granted. The Honourable Member for River Heights.
Madam Speaker, today our attention must be focused on ensuring that Manitoba is well prepared for wildfires in our province. With the government's poor preparation with regards to human resources and healthcare, it's opportune to emphasize the need for training an adequate number of people to fight forest fires in Manitoba. There can be a major surge in the need for personnel if there's a series of wildfires, and we need to make sure that we have the people ready. There's also a need to act quickly when the forest fire has any chance of spreading toward a community. From visiting Wasagamak a number of years ago, quick action to prevent or suppress a fire could have prevented the evacuation of the community. We need to be ready to act quickly. I want to thank all those who are active in such preparation, as well as those who are active in fighting the fires when they occur. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Member statements. The Honourable Minister of Consumer Protection and Government Services.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I want to tell you about an inspiring program happening out in Transcona that really sparks the creativity and imagination of students from kindergarten to grade 12 across our community. Each year, the Transcona Biz invites all Transcona students, whether they attend public school or an independent school or are homeschooled, to submit ideas, design ideas, as part of the Festival of Banners. Each year there's a theme, and this year's theme is Dinosaurs Roam Transcona. Students are encouraged to use their creativity and ideas to combine the theme along with local Transcona icons. My 6-year-old son Mark submitted his idea that includes a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex taking a huge bite out of the Transcona Museum. Last year, over 1,200 students submitted design ideas for the 65 banner locations, and this year is on track to be just as popular. Entries have to be in by 3 p.m. on Monday, May 15th at the Biz office on Bond Street, so there's still time to enter. They'll be scanned and posted online. The voting happens between May 23rd and June 6th. Once the winners are selected, they're given a 90-inch by 30-inch wide banner to paint both sides of, along with all the supplies they need to do that. Now, the banners are usually erected in the middle of July and are kept on display for an entire year. After the year is over, the banners are taken down and returned to the students who created them in the first place, giving them a lasting memento. My own daughter was one of the artists selected 12 years ago when she was just in grade 5, and she still has her banner hanging up in her room today. If you visit Transcona, you'll find these amazing banners on display up and down all the major streets in the Biz. I encourage you to come on down, check them out, also while visiting the Transcona High Neighbor Festival happening the weekend of June 3rd. And be sure to return in the fall when this year's 65 winning entries will be up on display. Grab breakfast or lunch at the Larstova Cafe to make your Transcona experience complete.
The Honourable Member for Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to recognize the Thompson Seniors Community Resource Council for their outstanding work in providing essential programs and services to the senior citizens of Thompson. The Council is a nonprofit organization dedicated to identifying the needs of elders in the community and responding to those needs and improving the quality of life for seniors in the area. And their commitment to this mission is truly admirable. The Seniors Community Resource Council provides a safe and welcoming space for seniors to gather and participate in a variety of activities. These activities include exercise classes, art workshops, technology education, and social events, all of which promote physical and mental well-being among the seniors community. The Council also offers transportation services for seniors who are unable to get around on their own, ensuring that they're able to attend medical appointments and other important engagements. This summer, they're even offering cycling programs for seniors and elders with disabilities, where groups of 2 can book private cycle tours. Another important program provided by the Council is the Food Hamper Service Program. This service delivers food hampers to low-income seniors who face mobility challenges, helping them ensure that they receive the nutrition they need to maintain good health. This program is especially important for seniors who are living alone and otherwise may not have access to regular meals. This Council also provides a range of resource information and advocacy for seniors and their families, including information about health, grief support, legal issues, and financial planning. This information is crucial for seniors who may be facing difficult decisions about their future, and guidance can be a great help navigating these challenges. Overall, the Thompson Seniors Community Resource Council is doing fantastic work in supporting...
The member's time has expired. Is there leave to allow the member to complete his statement? Leave has been granted. The Honourable Member for Thompson.
Thank you. I'll be brief. The Council is doing fantastic work in supporting senior citizens in Thompson. Their commitment to providing a safe and supportive environment for seniors, as well as their dedication to promoting health and well-being, is truly inspiring. I commend the Council for their efforts and wish them continued success in the future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to recognize Grace Day, May 12, 2023, dedicated to honoring the ongoing support of the Grace Hospital, the Grace Foundation, the healthcare professionals, staff, and our community's Grace Foundation supporters. The Grace Hospital has a rich history deeply rooted in our community. Incorporated in 1904 as the Salvation Army Grace General Hospital, it has been a beacon of hope and healing for over a century. From its humble beginnings as a rescue home for women and children on Ross Avenue to its present-day modern facility at 300 Booth Drive, the Grace Hospital has continuously evolved to meet the healthcare needs of Kirkfield Park, Winnipeg, and Manitobans throughout our province. Throughout the years, the Grace Hospital has been a pillar of strength and compassion, providing exceptional healthcare services to Manitobans. The hospital's commitments to excellence has earned the trust and gratitude of our community. The Grace Foundation has played a vital role in supporting the hospital's mission. Since established in 1990, the Foundation has tirelessly raised millions of dollars to enhance patient care, improve facilities, and provide leading research medical equipment. Their unwavering dedication has helped shape the Grace Hospital into the remarkable institution it is today. On Grace Day, we come together to express our deep appreciation for the extraordinary contributions of Grace Hospital staff, medical professionals, and the Grace Hospital Foundation. I also want to thank our Premier for the $30 million investment to allow for a significant expansion of the intensive care unit, and for the $77 million that has been provided since taking government for multiple upgrades. I ask my colleagues in the House to join me in showing appreciation to John Anerson, Executive Director of the Grace Hospital Foundation, Jeff Coleman, Chair of the Grace Hospital Foundation, Bruce Lilly, Chair of the Grace Hospital Day. Thank you all, and thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Transcona.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Recently, the PC government announced that the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre will be shuttered next month. I've had the opportunity to speak with a number of families about this, and I'm grateful to all of them for sharing their stories. What I heard from many of them is that the Remote Learning Centre is hugely beneficial and sometimes the only option for students with significant health and learning needs. While the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre began as a temporary measure in response to the pandemic, it has become very different from the remote learning experienced by many families during COVID. During these past number of years, staff have developed a comprehensive programming focusing on community, student efficacy, and autonomy. The program has been able to successfully address a wide variety of issues that prevented students from attending and succeeding in a regular school setting. Many students using the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre have been prevented from attending in-person school due to complex health and learning needs. By eliminating triggers such as bright lights, loud noises, the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre was able to provide a space where students could focus on their learning and also provide needed flexibility. Some students had even joined classes from the hospital, Madam Speaker. Another interesting piece that I heard from communicating from parents is that the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre made financial sense. Traditional school settings require a lot of resources to provide the support, and what Manitoba Remote Learning Centre did is that they were able to receive this support without extra costs. It is lamentable, Madam Speaker, that the government does not seem to have considered the positive impact this program had on these students with unique learning needs when they decided to shut down the Remote Learning Centre. The cancellation of the Manitoba Remote Learning Centre has left many families feeling frustrated because an education support that worked for their kids is being removed. I encourage the government to listen to these families and reconsider their decision. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On April 30th, I participated in a healthcare panel in Tyndall Park with a nurse of 30 years, a STARS paramedic, and our local member of parliament. It was a productive meeting, and I was encouraged by the feedback shared by so many who are working or were working in our healthcare system, and many who have had experiences within our healthcare system over the last few years. Everyone had a lot of insight and experiences to share. The main takeaways from the forum included how our healthcare system desperately needs a lot more attention, how we need to do better at recognizing healthcare credentials while also retaining our current healthcare workers, and how many seniors cannot afford their prescribed medications, and there is a concern that a two-tier health system may be happening. Madam Speaker, Seven Oaks Hospital is a community hospital, and with how rapidly the community is growing, it does not make sense to have what was supposed to be a major hospital so underutilized. Because of the concerns and ideas around Seven Oaks Hospital that were raised at the forum, I made a posting on social media last week calling on those who work at Seven Oaks to reach out. I've since spoken with quite a few people who work in various roles at the hospital, and they all have very valuable ideas that they would like to share with this government. So I'm calling on this government to revisit Seven Oaks Hospital, reconsider some of the changes that have been made over the last few years, and turn it into a healthcare facility that it is capable of being, so that the residents of Tyndall Park, as well as the Maples and Burrows and Kildonan, all have a healthcare facility close to home. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I have some guests that I would like to introduce to you, and before they leave the gallery, in the public gallery, we have from Dauphin Regional Comprehensive Secondary School, 42 grade 9 students under the direction of Steph Matskew, and this group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Dauphin. We welcome you all to the Manitoba Legislature. And I would like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the Speaker's Gallery, where we have with us today Mr. Greg Quinn, British Consul General, and Mr. Dwight Macaulay, British Honorary Consul in Winnipeg. On behalf of all honourable members here, we welcome you to the Manitoba Legislature. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
In November of 2021, in one of her first acts, the Premier announced that she was going to create a new education funding model for Manitoba schools that was supposed to be released this past February. However, last fall, the Premier reversed course and said that she was going to delay the release of this funding model until after this year's election. And now we know why. We have seen the model, we have it in our hands, and it's not good for schools in Manitoba.
Not at all.
The PC Premier is hiding this funding model because she doesn't want to see Manitobans have access to the cuts that they are planning to make in our K-12 system. I'll table it so that we can pierce the shroud of secrecy. Millions of dollars cut for schools in Pembina Trails, at St. James Assiniboia, Louis Riel, Seven Oaks school divisions, and more. Why is the Premier hiding her plan to cut school funding in our province?
The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, we're very proud of this budget that was just tabled in the Manitoba Legislature that offered a $100 million increase to the education budget. Madam Speaker, that is more money for education. In fact, every single school division right across the province of Manitoba received an increase, Madam Speaker. Those are the facts, Madam Speaker. And the Leader of the Opposition and every member opposite voted against that. So while they claim to care about our kids' education, they claim to want to spend more money in education, Madam Speaker, they had an opportunity to support a budget that had significant record increases to education in the province of Manitoba, and they voted against it.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Madam Speaker, the Stephenson government will say anything to try and get re-elected. But now through these documents, we see what will happen if they get another term in office. Under this new education funding model that the PCs have developed, kids and educators in the Louis Riel School Division will see their funding cut by $10 million. Pembina Trails is going to be cut by $4.5 million. The Interlake School Division, they'll be cut by $3 million. This is the Premier's plan to cut funding for schools in Manitoba. It says that this is the funding model, not for distribution. We think Manitobans deserve to see it before they vote this year. Will the Premier tell the House why she's hiding this from Manitobans?
Order, please. The Honourable First Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, Manitobans remember a desperate NDP government at a time right on the eve of an election where they said that they wouldn't raise taxes. They went door to door to every single Manitoban, Madam Speaker. They told them they weren't going to raise the PST. And what did they do as soon as they got elected, Madam Speaker? They raised the PST, Madam Speaker. Those are the desperate tactics of the NDP.
Hey! Order. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, the Premier can attack all she wants, but what's missing from her answer is very telling. She does not deny that this is the plan that the PCs will implement if they get another term. She doesn't deny that they're planning to cut school funding in Manitoba. In addition to the divisions that I was listing earlier, St. James of Assiniboia is going to face a $9 million cut for their annual school funding. The Lord Selkirk School Division will have their funding cut by $8 million. These cuts to school funding are wrong. If the Premier won't tell the House why she's hiding this cut from Manitobans, perhaps the members who represent these constituencies will stand up and let Manitobans whether they've seen these cuts either.
Yeah.
The Honourable First Minister.
We have stated, Madam Speaker, is that we will be out consulting Manitobans when it comes to the funding model moving forward. No decision has been made on that funding model, Madam Speaker. So the Leader of the Opposition can table all of the irrelevant documents he wants in this House, Madam Speaker, but those are not the facts. The facts are, Madam Speaker, when it comes to education, we had a $100 million increase to the budget. Every single school division got a significant increase to their budgets, Madam Speaker. That's more money for education. That's more money for our students, Madam Speaker. We care about education. If the Leader of the Opposition and the members opposite cared so much about the education system in our province, why did they vote against these historic investments in our education system?
And I would just remind members, before everybody gets all wound up, we do have students in the gallery, so they're here to learn. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
I think the PC plan to cut school funding is very relevant.
That's right.
To students and to families and to people right across the province. When you pay attention to the Premier's answer, you will see that she is acknowledging that these are the real documents created by this government. I will table them for everyone in the province of Manitoba to see. There are 16,000 kids in the Louis Riel School Division. It's very relevant that this PC government is planning to cut their funding by millions of dollars. $15 million when we look at Pembina Trails and Louis Riel school divisions combined. The biggest school division by population, Winnipeg School Division, will see their funding cut by another $2.5 million. These are very serious cuts that this provincial government under the PCs is entertaining. Will the Premier explain to the people of Manitoba why she wanted to hide these documents before they had a chance to vote this year?
The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, I just stated to this House, to the Leader of the Opposition, that no decisions have been made whatsoever when it comes to a funding model. We are continuing to consult Manitobans. We want to make sure that we get it right. We on this side of the House listen to Manitobans and act accordingly, Madam Speaker. We want to ensure that school divisions, every school division gets an increase, Madam Speaker. That's why we put that in this budget this year, Madam Speaker. Significant and historic investments in our education system, Madam Speaker. And what did members opposite do? They voted against it. No credibility, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Premier for acknowledging that these are the documents that her government created for a new education funding model in Manitoba. They provided direction to people who created this document, and based on their direction, school divisions like Louis Riel, like Seven Oaks, like Lord Selkirk, like Pembina Trails, like St. James and Assiniboia are looking at having their funding cut by millions and millions of dollars. That's if the PCs get reelected. Now, of course, the PCs wanted to hide this until after Manitobans had a chance to vote this year. Will this Premier explain to the people of Manitoba why she didn't want to share her plan before you had a chance to vote?
Order. I'm going to call the members to order. The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition can say whatever he wants and table whatever documents he wants. That's his right, Madam Speaker. But the facts are this. We just tabled in this House and we've debated on a budget, Madam Speaker, that had record and historic increases to our education system right across this great province of ours. Each and every single school division got significant increases. In fact, and I think the Leader of the Opposition, other members have mentioned the Louis Riel School Division, an 8.4% increase, over $8 million increase to that school division alone in Manitoba, Madam Speaker. Those are significant investments for better education for our kids, Madam Speaker. We care about our kids. We want to ensure that they get the investments they need in education. Madam Speaker, if the Leader of the Opposition and the members opposite cared so much, why did they vote against significant and historic increases to our education system?
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary.
Well, one thing's clear. We've established that this is the plan that the PCs developed behind closed doors to cut millions of dollars in funding every year from schools in Manitoba. The other thing that this establishes is the motivation for the other major issue we've been dealing with here this week. Many Manitobans have been wondering, why are they cutting school funding? Well, it's because they continue to give checks to billionaires with money that is taken from revenue that should be funding our schools. When you look at the Louis Riel School Division, Pembina Trails, Lord Selkirk, St. James, Assiniboia, Seven Oaks, and so on down the list, and they're facing cuts under this new education funding model of millions of dollars per year, and then you look and see that this PC government is giving Loblaws a check for more than $300,000. It shows just completely how out of touch this PC government is with the priorities of Manitobans. We already know why the Premier did not want Manitobans to see this.
The member's time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
Madam Speaker, if the Leader of the Opposition again cared so much about education funding, Madam Speaker, that he would have been voted in favour of our budget that had more than $100 million more to education in the province of Manitoba. He chose to vote against that, Madam Speaker. But the member opposite mentioned Louis Riel School Division. They got an 8.4% increase, more than $8 million, Madam Speaker. He also mentioned Pembina Trails School Division, who got a 13.2% increase, or over $10 million, Madam Speaker. He also mentioned Seven Oaks School Division, Madam Speaker, a 3.8% increase, Madam Speaker, or a $3.3 million increase. St. James Assiniboia, Madam Speaker, a $3.7 million increase, or an 8.1% increase, Madam Speaker. Those are the facts. We are making record and historic investments in our education system in the province of Manitoba.
The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. They know they've been underfunding public education since 2016. It's been 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And then all of a sudden, Madam Speaker, they show up in a year of an election and announce some funding pieces, right? They know that that has been their record, underfunding since 2016. And now we know why. They've come up with this model, and yet they won't share it with the people that needed the very dollars that they say they're providing. And under this new model, the PCs would cut funding to Pembina Trails by $4.5 million, Madam Speaker. And they have already had to cut their full-day kindergarten program. So my question is simple. Will the Premier tell the House why she's planning to cut $4.5 million from Pembina Trails?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members opposite are clearly very adept at fear-mongering and putting unfactual words on the record. That's unfortunate because Manitobans deserve the truth. And Manitobans remember, under the NDP government, for 17 years, how horrible the school systems felt for their own children, mine included. We had children who lost their library spaces. We had children who lost their art spaces. We had children who lost their gym spaces because they had to learn in the hallways. Under this group over here who mismanaged education, underfunded, and never listened to the needs of the children or the teachers in the system.
Yeah.
Honourable Member for Transcona on a supplementary question.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. They know they've been underfunding education since 2016. They can't even defend their record. They come here and they try to put these words on a record showing that they completely misunderstand the needs of Manitoba students. They know that they plan to cut. It says it right there in that document, and it's been tabled. I'll table another page of that document, Madam Speaker, that shows the same thing, just in case they need to see it again. And so, who pays the price? Teachers, EAs, librarians, students, extracurricular programs that are very important. This $4.5 million cut to Pembina Trails is going to hurt, and they know it. Will the Premier finally do the right thing and stop cutting public education?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And only members opposite of the NDP party would call a 23% increase since 2016 a cut. And maybe, Madam Speaker, this highlights the problems under their previous government for 17 years, where they introduced a new math program that saw our students go from middle of the pack performance to dead last in math and science. Madam Speaker, I hope the member opposite, while he was in the administration in the school system, also recognized how detrimental that was to our students.
The Honourable Member for Transcona on a final supplementary.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, we don't even know what the actual numbers are in the latest frame documents. The latest frame documents are from 2021. We don't even know what they actually invested in education. So we can't even provide and see where it's going to go next. But we do have a document that's created by them, by their funding formula. And right now it's being released, and it's about time, Madam Speaker, because cuts like this are eliminating necessary programs in our schools. That is shameful and unnecessary, Madam Speaker. Will the Premier finally do the right thing and commit to stop cutting public education today after emerging from the pandemic?
Where the nerve is being hit is mine, with all this heckling that is going on. And I'm going to remind everybody again that I would like everybody to be more respectful to each other, to be more civil to each other, and let's get to hear the questions and the answers. The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And again, the member opposite really highlights that none of the members opposite agree with due process or consultation with stakeholders. That's unfortunate, and I hope that the education system and those who work within it are paying close attention that the members opposite have stated time and time again they will interfere in multiple processes where they should not. We respect the process, we respect the feedback we get from the people who are working front lines, and we will continue to listen to them. And Madam Speaker, we have invested record numbers into the education system in this budget alone. And I will say that the members opposite are trying to distract from these record investments because they voted against them.
Shame on them.
The honourable member for St. John's.
Well, Madam Speaker, all of the PC members support and celebrate cutting our schools. And that's what the PC's new funding model for education does. And on top of that, they're trying to hide it from Manitobans right before a provincial election. This new model cuts nearly $11 million from the Seven Oaks School Division. I will table the document. That means cutting teachers from classrooms and after-school programs. Why is the Premier cutting nearly $1 million from the students in Seven Oaks School Division?
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I know the member opposite has access to all of the details that we have submitted within the budget. She has spent time debating that budget and asking questions. We've just been through estimates, and we'll continue today, where we go through all the details. So I'm going to share on the record for the member opposite's benefit that Beautiful Plains School Division, they received a 12.4% increase. Wow. Borderland School Division received a 4.2% increase. More. Brandon School Division received a 10.2% increase. More. The DSFM School Division received a 3.8% increase. More. Evergreen School Division received a 6.4% increase.
The member's time has expired. The honourable member for St. John's on a supplementary question.
Seven Oaks has already had to make cuts to supports for schools, like laying off teaching staff, eliminating programs like Learn to Swim, closing after-school and summer programs, and eliminating the school bus transportation for grades 7s to 12 students. But that's not enough for members opposite. They want to cut even more. Now they want to cut Seven Oaks funding by $11 million. Why is the Premier cutting nearly $11 million from Seven Oaks School Division when they've already been forced to cut so much?
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I will continue with the list. Seven Oaks School Division received a 3.8% increase in funding in this budget alone. I will point out as well, the member is going down a slippery slope when she wants to step on the autonomy of school divisions in terms of the program they decide. I would hope.
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education to complete her answer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would hope that all school divisions are paying close attention to the words that members opposite are saying. They know exactly what's coming down the line. And Madam Speaker, I will say that that 3.8% represents $3.329 million increase to the Seven Oaks School Division this year.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for St. John's on a final supplementary.
The minister seems to have forgotten Bill 64, which thank God for us on this side of the House that we killed that very egregious bill. Seven Oaks School Division is already struggling under 7 years of cuts by each and every one of those members, and now the PCs want to cut funding to the Seven Oaks School Division by nearly $11 million. Shame. That is beyond shameful, and Manitoba children will suffer because of them. These cuts will hurt kids and educators in our Seven Oaks School Division. Will the Premier stop her plan to cut $11 million from the Seven Oaks School Division today? Yeah.
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, members opposite talk about the what ifs. We already know what they would do because we've seen for 17 years how they dismantled the education system through underfunding, through interference, and they will continue to do so if they ever reach government again. Madam Speaker, Louis Riel School Division received 8.4% increase in this year's budget. That's over $8 million more this year. Wow. Mystery Lake School Division received a 3.3% increase. Park West School Division received a 10.4% increase. Wow. Pembina Trails received 13.2%. That's over $10 million increase to their funding this year.
The honourable member for St. Vital.
Madam Speaker, while the PC government continues to choose to hand checks over to billionaires instead of funding kids in classrooms here in Manitoba, they propose a new funding model which would take even more money out of classrooms. The Louis Riel School Division's funding model will cut over $10 million with this new PC funding model. That's $10 million that will go to hire more teachers, EAs, or staff to support kids in the classroom that need help to succeed. That is simply unacceptable, Madam Speaker. Will the Premier tell the House today why she plans to cut $10 million from the 16,000 students in Louis Riel School Division?
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Clearly, math is not a strong suit of members opposite, nor is listening and understanding what they're hearing. I will continue with the list of the investments we've made in this year's budget so that the member can have some clarity on that. But I do want to reflect on that members opposite have continually been concerned about rebates. They don't understand how a government can actually give tax rebates while increasing the education funding. And that should worry every Manitoban in this province because they don't have the ability to function in that realm of understanding economic growth and how you can invest in these services. I'm happy to continue to educate members opposite my next question.
The honourable member for St. Vital on a supplementary question.
Madam Speaker, after 7 years, Manitobans are still looking for this government's strong suit, and they haven't found it. All they've seen is cuts to education, and schools are struggling. Students are struggling. Educators have made it clear that funding is not keeping up with the rate of inflation or the rate of enrollment growth. And now they want to cut an extra $10 million from Louis Riel School Division. On this of the House, we believe in schools. We believe in teachers that they need more supports, not less. Will the Premier stand up today, commit to stop cutting funding for schools, and will she commit to invest in education in Manitoba? Right on.
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And once again, I'm just going to reiterate, only members opposite would call a 23% increase since 2016 a cut. And I know that Manitobans are smarter than what the NDP wants to believe they are. It's an insult to Manitobans that they want to continue to put this on the record. Madam Speaker, Pine Creek School Division received a 5.9% increase, and that reflects over $400,000 increase, not a decrease. Madam Speaker, I can understand why the members opposite are frustrated. Not only have we announced 20 new school builds, which they couldn't get any built under their government, but we are also increasing funding while reducing taxes. They may not understand.
The member's time has expired. The honourable member for St. Vital on a final supplementary.
Madam Speaker, we know this government has tried to hide their cuts to education. That's why I'll table the documents right now that show that $10 million is being proposed to be cut from the Louis-Riel School Division under this PC government's new funding model. We know their agenda is to cut from schools, and they've tried to hide it, and they've tried to push it back to pass the next election. It's unprecedented, Madam Speaker. Another $10 million cut from the students of Louis-Riel School Division? Unacceptable. Will the Premier stand up today and change course? Will she abandon her plan and actually invest in schools in Manitoba?
Yeah, well done, Dave.
Well, if everybody wants to hear the answer, let's have some quiet in the room and let's hear the answer from the Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, we remember for many years when students at this time of the year, they would walk through schools and you know what they'd hear that sound? Drip, drip, drip. Because there was buckets all over the floors of the schools, Madam Speakers, because the roofs were leaking all over Manitoba, because that former government refused to put money into schools, into teachers, into education. The schools were falling apart. The kids were walking around with their umbrellas. It was this government that brought in record funding for capital, for operation, astronomical funding, and there's more to come, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for St. James.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This PC government is hiding their plans to cut millions from local school divisions. As we've heard today, we obtained the secret PC plan for the new education funding model, and it cuts nearly $9 million from the St. James Assiniboia School Division. This new funding model is nothing more than another way for the PC government to take money out of our schools so they can turn it around and give it to out-of-province billionaires. Our schools need support now more than ever. Will the Premier commit today to stopping her plan to cut millions in funding for kids in St. James?
I'm going to call members to order. If you want me to start identifying who you are, I will. Your constituents won't be very appreciative. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And everybody on this side of the House wants to get up and answer this question, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let the record show the members are throwing hypothetical stuff on the table. Madam Speaker, the reality is a 6.1% increase to funding for education in Manitoba. NDP Liberals voted against it.
The Honourable Member for St. James on a supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will table the document that shows nearly $9 million in proposed cuts to kids in St. James Assiniboia School Division. That money should be going into our classrooms to make sure our kids have the resources that they need to succeed. This PC government has made it clear that their plan for education is more and more cuts. They tried to hide it from Manitobans until after the election, and we think that's wrong. Will the Premier stop standing up for billionaires and stop cutting education for kids in St. James today?
Order. Order. I am going to recognize the Honourable Minister for Seniors and Long-Term Care, but I would ask him to put his response through the chair. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would indicate to the member that as a former trustee in the St. James Assiniboia School Division, I would have actually died for an 8.1% increase to ensure that the students of St. James Assiniboia are continuing to receive the best education they can. Under the NDP government, Madam Speaker, when I was there, we had to close schools because of a lack of funding.
Yep.
The honourable member for St. James on a final supplementary.
Thank you. I would indicate to the member from Assiniboia that he should read his government's own plan to cut funding to kids in his community. This PC government has been cutting funding to our schools for 7 years. Schools are reaching a breaking point and are having to make impossible decisions about cutting programs and services that our kids rely on. Another $9 million in cuts to kids and educators in St. James Assiniboia will mean fewer resources in classrooms, and they've already had to cut the IB program in St. James Assiniboia. Manitoban students deserve so much better. Will the Premier do the right thing and commit to stopping her cuts for kids in West Winnipeg today?
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And
Order.
The leader for St. James, sorry, the member for St. James clearly has not been listening to the answers he's been given.
I'm going to call everybody to order. There's a lot of heckling going back and forth, a lot of comments being made. I'm going to actually ask the front benches on both sides to rein it in, because we do have to hear what the answers are. And I'm going to ask everybody, and no point in wagging fingers, because it's happening from all sides. So I am going to ask for everybody's cooperation. If you want to get named, just keep it up. But I think we've had enough today of the disrespect that is being shown on this floor. So I'm going to ask for everybody's cooperation, please. Let's listen to the answers and let's listen to the questions. Order. The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 6.1% increase, over $100 million invested in increases to education. That is an increase, not a cut.
Hey!
The Honourable Member for St. Boniface.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There's a housing crisis in Manitoba, so many people are having to turn to government support with the hope they can actually find a place to live. Younger generations are in despair, wondering whether they will ever be able to afford to buy a house at all. And with rising interest rates, nearly 1/3 of mortgage holders across Canada could be at risk of default. With so many people struggling to pay for their own shelter and many being homeless, we can't help but question why certain MLAs in Manitoba have more lavish perks than MPs in Ottawa do. Can the Premier explain why Manitoba taxpayers who can barely afford their own rent or their own mortgage are subsidizing the purchase of second or third homes for cabinet ministers and MLAs?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
So it's very rare that I have a point of agreement with the member for St. Boniface, but when it comes to the need for providing housing in the province of Manitoba, that is a rare point of agreement. That is the reason why this government has invested significantly in housing in the province of Manitoba, 745 new units of housing since we formed office, and that is why we're committing to also working with housing, nonprofit housing providers who are coming off of agreement to ensure that as we're growing the affordable housing stock, that we are also maintaining those units that are currently under agreement.
The Honourable Member for St. Boniface on a supplementary question.
Madam Speaker, we're talking about cabinet ministers already making six figures, some living barely an hour's drive from the city. I table monthly expense reports from the government's website that show that both NDP and PC MLAs and ministers use their allowance to buy second homes. NDP Minister Steve Ashton from Thompson, NDP Minister Peter Bjornson from Gimli, NDP Minister Stan Struthers from Dauphin, NDP Minister Drew Caldwell from Brandon, the MLA for Borderland, the MLA for Brandon West, the MLA for Interlake, the MLA for Riding Mountain, the MLA for Turtle Mountain, the MLA for Red River North. Manitoba Liberals think this is unacceptable, that we're subsidizing the purchase of second homes. Does the Premier agree, and will she do anything about it?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Madam Speaker, the member opposite will know that the allowances for all members are set by an independent officer. It's been that way for years. It's been agreed to by all members of the House. It ensures that there are independent rules and independent analysis done of how members can spend their money. In fact, I remember looking at the member opposite's expenses one year, and for whatever reason, I think he bought 5 MacBooks. I have no idea why he would need 5 MacBooks in 1 year, but maybe he wants to explain it to us.
The Honourable Member for River Heights on a final supplementary.
Madam Speaker, trucking is one of the most important industries in our province.
Right.
Yet the government, once again, has been caught short in not supporting the manpower needs of the industry. When we met with the Manitoba Trucking Association recently, I was told they're in need of 4,000 more truckers today, and that the growth of the industry is being severely hampered by the lack of trained drivers. Why in 7 years has the government failed to properly address this important issue? And don't blame the COVID pandemic, because it would have been an ideal time to train more truckers.
The Honourable Minister of Economic Development, Investment and Trade.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and certainly we'll focus on that. I met with Aaron Melnick from MTA. We're working on that. We'll continue to make that progress.
According to my clock, time for oral questions has expired. Oh. Okay, order. Order. The Honourable Member for Brandon West thinks there was 2 seconds left on the clock.
Absolutely.
He may be right. I wouldn't make that big of a deal out of that. If that was the case, and I take the member's word at it, sometimes with all the confusion and heckling, it is hard at the very end to keep track of things. So I will recognize the Honourable Member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last fall, our government was proud to stand with stakeholders and announce direct flights between Winnipeg and Los Angeles, which has already started paying dividends for Manitobans and the Manitoba industry. We all know Manitoba punches well above our class in the global market, and the Minister of Economic Development and Investment and Trade announced further opportunities earlier today. I have since taken advantage of those opportunities, Madam Speaker. Can the Minister elaborate on how we are helping build the Manitoba industry and where I'm going for a family wedding?
The Honourable Minister of Economic Development, Investment and Trade.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank the member from Brandon West for that great question. And Madam Speaker, I was honored today, this morning actually, to join our Premier and many industry stakeholders to announce that starting this September, WestJet will be offering direct flights between Winnipeg and Atlanta. The new flights will give Manitoba businesses faster access to markets they already are doing business in with, and open up many more future opportunities. Under our Premier's leadership, Madam Speaker, we have been able to grow this partnership, and our government is investing in providing $5 million to the Winnipeg Airport Authority, Madam Speaker, for this expansion. Madam Speaker, with 5 direct flights a week and 12 months of the year, Madam Speaker, 200 destinations around the world.
Expired. Petitions. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. To the Legislative Assembly, the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, according to Census 2021, Punjabi is the 4th most spoken language in Canada, and there are 33,315 people in Manitoba whose native language is Punjabi. Number 2, Thousands of Punjabi newcomers are coming to Manitoba as students and as immigrants looking to call this province home.
Order!
People of Punjabi origin contribute a great deal to the social, economic development of Canada and Manitoba in fields such as education, science, health, business, and politics. Number 3, in coming to Manitoba, Punjabi newcomers make sacrifices including distance from their cultural roots and language. Many Punjabi parents and families want their children to retain their language and keep a continued cultural appreciation. Number 4, Manitoba has many good bilingual programs in public schools for children and teens available in other languages including French, Ukrainian, Ojibwe, Filipino, Cree, Hebrew, and Spanish. Punjabi bilingual programs for children and teens as well as Punjabi language instruction at a college and university level could similarly teach and maintain Punjabi language and culture. Number 5, Punjabi bilingual instruction would help cross-cultural friendships, relationships, and marriages and prepare young people to be multilingual professionals. We therefore petition the Manitoba Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to take steps to implement Punjabi bilingual programs in public schools similar to existing bilingual programs and take steps to implement Punjabi language instruction in other levels of education in Manitoba. And this petition, Madam Speaker, is signed by many Manitobans.
In accordance with our Rule 133, bracket 6, when petitions are read, they are deemed to be received by the House. The Honourable Member for Elmwood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. The background of this petition is as follows. Number 1, till recently, diagnostic medical tests, including for blood and fluid samples, were available and accessible in most medical clinics. Number 2, Dynacare blood test labs have consolidated their blood and fluid testing services by closing 25 of its labs. Number 3, the provincial government has cut diagnostic testing at many clinic sites, and residents now have to travel to different locations to get their testing done, even for a simple blood test or a urine sample. Number 4, further, travel challenges for vulnerable and elderly residents of Northeast Winnipeg may result in fewer tests being done or delays in testing, with the attendant effects of increased health care costs and poorer individual patient outcomes. Number 5, COVID-19 emergency rules resulted in long outdoor lineups, putting vulnerable residents at further risk in extreme weather, be it hot or cold. Moreover, these long lineups have resulted in longer wait times for services and poor service in general. Number 6, Manitoba residents value the convenience and efficiency of the healthcare system when they are able to give their samples at the time of the doctor visit. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to immediately demand Dynacare maintain all of the phlebotomy blood sample sites existing prior to the COVID-19 public health emergency and allow all Manitobans to get their blood and urine tests done when visiting their doctor, thereby facilitating local access to blood testing services. And this petition signed by many, many Manitobans.
Member for St. Vital.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. These are the reasons for this petition. 1. Since taking office, the provincial government has cut operating funding to post-secondary institutions such as Brandon University, while simultaneously increasing tuition and student fees. 2. Brandon University is the only university in rural Manitoba and serves as an important hub for Westmen. 3. Brandon University is the largest university outside Winnipeg, with over 2,200 full-time students and just under 1,000 part-time students. 4. Despite the important role Brandon University plays in Manitoba, the provincial government is continuing to cut the university's funding in budget 2023-24, as funding yet again fails to keep pace with inflation. 5. Inadequate funding hurts students, and the quality of education they receive, as it may force Brandon University to raise tuition, cut programs and services, or both. 6. Funding cuts also negatively impact Brandon University's faculty, who are at risk of having their courses cut or being let go altogether. 7. The provincial government has refused to explain why Brandon University's 2023-24 operating funding increase falls below inflation and why it is lower than other universities in Manitoba. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge for the provincial government to adequately fund Brandon University so that the institution can avoid making cuts and continue to serve students, faculty, Westman, and the province of Manitoba as a whole. This petition has been signed by many Manitobans. Thank
you. The Honourable Member for Point Douglas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Across the province, many Manitobans continue to struggle with addictions, and the pandemic has led to even more deaths and worsened the ongoing public health crisis of opioid overdoses. 2. 372 Manitobans died from an overdose in 2020. That's over 1 a day and 87% higher than in 2019. 3. Manitoba is expected to exceed over 400 overdose deaths in 2021, but the data is not publicly available since the last public reporting of opioid deaths was published in 2019. 4. The data for drug overdose deaths from 2020 and 2021 was compiled through media inquiries, and this needs to change. 5. Access to timely data on the harms of drugs helps to inform both government and stakeholders on where to take action and target resources needed in various communities. 6. Manitoba is the only province not providing regular, timely data to the federal government opioid information portal. 7. Manitobans deserve a government that takes the growing drug crisis seriously and will report the data in a timely manner to target actions and allow for accountability. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to enact Bill 217, the Fatality Inquiries Amendment Act, overdose death reporting, to require the province to publish the number of drug overdose deaths as well as the type of drug on a government website in a timely fashion. And this has been signed by Brenda Cook, Charles Equan, Ms. Sutherland, and many others.
Grievances? Orders of the day. The Honourable Official Opposition House Leader.
Which, Madam Speaker, pursuant to Rule 34, Bracket 8, I am announcing that the private member's resolution to be considered on the next Thursday of private members' business will be one put forward by the Honourable Member for Wolseley. The title of the resolution is Condemning the Provincial Government for Failing to Uphold the Right to Housing for All Manitobans.
It has been announced that the private member's resolution to be considered on the next Thursday of private members' business will be the one put forward by the Honourable Member for Wolseley. The title of the resolution is Condemning the Provincial Government for Failing to Uphold the Right to Housing for All Manitobans. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Could you please resolve the House into Committee of Supply?
It has been announced that the House will consider estimates this afternoon. This House will now resolve into Committee of Supply. Mr. Deputy Speaker, please take the chair.
few leaks today. Drink.
Yes, it's my favorite keg too.
Yeah, we'll need the table for the next one.
Yeah, I'll
They did, okay.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? When we finished off yesterday, we were considering a motion put forward by the Honourable Member for Thompson that line item 19.1 subsection A be amended. Can I have a glass of water from a page, please, so that the Minister of Indigenous Reconciliation and Northern Relations salary be reduced to $21,000. Are there any outstanding questions on that motion? Seeing none, is the committee ready for the question? Okay, the question before the House is the motion moved by the member for Thompson. You don't have to read that. Shall the motion pass? I hear a no. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. I think the nays have it. In my opinion, the motion is defeated. Okay, resolved 19.1. Resolved that there be, resolution 19.1, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $2,157,000 for Indigenous Reconciliation and Northern Relations, Administration and Finance for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. This completes the estimates of the Department of Indigenous Reconciliation and Northern Relations. The next set of estimates to be considered by this section of the Committee of Supply is for the Department of Labour and Immigration. Shall we briefly recess to allow the Minister and Critic the opportunity to prepare for the commencement of the next department? We will do that then. We will recess, and once the Minister and Critic are here, we will resume. Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of the Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of the Department of Labour and Immigration. Does the Honourable Minister have an opening statement? The Honourable Minister.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be in Committee of Supply today to discuss the Department of Labour and Immigration. I'm excited to participate in this process and look forward to a constructive and respectful dialogue with the official opposition. Joining me today will be Deputy Minister of Labour and Immigration Catherine Gates, Alisa Ramratan, the Assistant Deputy Minister of Labour, Carmel Chartrand, the Assistant Deputy Minister of Immigration, and Melissa Ballantyne, the Executive Financial Officer. The Department of Labour and Immigration was created to advance economic growth by strengthening regulatory protections that meet the needs of modern workplaces, ensuring public safety, and improving immigration pathways to attract international talent to study, work, and live in Manitoba. Budget 2023 makes historic investments for Manitobans.
Our government is committed to providing safe and thriving workplaces and building diverse, vibrant communities that create opportunities for all Manitobans to utilize their skills and talent to help grow a strong economy. We, of course, recognize the exceptional financial challenges facing all Manitobans in wake of the pandemic and in this time of global inflation. Our government is here to make life more affordable and help more Manitobans get ahead. That is why we are increasing the minimum wage to $15.30 an hour effective October 1st, 2023. Using a phased-in approach, we are balancing the financial realities of Manitoba workers and the economic challenges for small businesses. This increase positions Manitoba as one of the top minimum wages provinces in Manitoba. We continue to reduce barriers to economic development by focusing on regulatory reconciliation and cooperation. This is why we are accelerating the adoption of the new National Model Building, Plumbing, Fire and Energy Codes to align with other jurisdictions and reduce the cost of doing business in Manitoba. When it comes to safe workplaces, partnerships are key. My department remains committed to listening to our stakeholders to ensure we are promoting safe and healthy workplaces. To this end, the department launched a review of Manitoba's safety and health laws to ensure we have strong current protections in place that meet the needs of modern workplaces. Labor and Immigration will continue to collaborate with the Workers' Compensation Board, Safe Work Manitoba, and other prevention partners to reduce the number and severity of workplace-related injuries and illnesses in Manitoba. The department works diligently to promote safe work environments and help employers and employees know their rights and responsibilities. This ongoing work creates strong, inclusive, and safe workplaces for all Manitobans through programs and services that support workplace safety and health, employment standards, and robust public safety. Support for employers is critical in maintaining a healthy, vibrant economy. This is why we introduced the Employer Advisor Office to provide free help to employers in navigating the processes, policies, and decisions of the Workers' Compensation Board. The Manitoba labor market experienced a robust recovery in 2022. This was underpinned by strong economic growth and record immigration. Our government understands that newcomers are a critical part of the makeup of this province. In 2023, we'll benefit from an increased allocation for our world-renowned provincial nominee program. Manitoba will receive an additional 3,175 nomination spaces this year, a 50% year-over-year increase. We advocated strongly for this increase, which will enable us to further leverage immigration to grow Manitoba's economy and meet labor market needs in critical sectors across the province, including healthcare. Our government is hard at work making sure that Manitoba is a destination of choice for skilled newcomers. Earlier this year, I had the pleasure of leading a healthcare recruitment mission to the Philippines that resulted in Manitoba issuing letters of interest for employment to nearly 350 candidates in the healthcare sector. This type of recruitment mission allows Manitoba to advance critical relationships with international governments, expand on existing labor agreements that permit and support the recruitment of skilled workers, and build on strong cultural ties. We are committed to using innovative solutions to address national issues, such as the shortage of healthcare providers caused by the global pandemic. We are also taking steps to move Manitoba towards being a leading province in identifying and addressing regulatory barriers to registration in self-regulated professions. We are advancing legislative changes to ensure full alignment with the Canadian Free Trade Agreement. As Minister, it is my duty and my honor to work collaboratively with Manitobans as we advance immigration policy. That is why I'm proud to have co-chaired the Immigration Advisory Council with Dr. Lloyd Axworthy over the past year, and why we conducted extensive immigration engagements with many Manitobans across the entire province. We obtained valuable input on the entire continuum of immigration, from recruitment to retention of newcomers in Manitoba. Moving forward, our work is clear to evaluate and implement these recommendations. Our government welcomes new Manitobans to contribute to the growth and prosperity of our province. Collaboration is key. That is why Budget 2023 provides an increase of $2 million in funding for the Newcomer Community Integration Support Program for a total of $7.1 million. This program leverages community partnerships to increase newcomers' participation in the community and the growing economy. As we continue to stand with Ukraine, so too will the services and support our government offers to Ukrainian temporary residents. Between April 2022 and January 2023, more than 16,000 individuals have registered at Manitoba's Ukrainian Reception Centre. This year, my department will continue to support Ukrainians through priority candidate draws and waiving their provincial nominee program application fees. As we look toward opportunities ahead, we remain committed to listening to Manitobans and working with our partners. Together, we will continue to create diverse and vibrant communities and provide safe, thriving workplaces as we reach towards a brighter, more prosperous future for all Manitobans. I look forward to a productive and respectful discussion as we take questions from the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We thank the Minister for those comments. Does the official opposition critic have any opening comments? The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the Minister's opening comments. I too look forward to having productive question and answer session throughout this estimates process on the Department of Labour and Immigration. I certainly hope that, as opposed to some of the estimates that I've sat in on, that the Minister will undertake to answer questions with real answers and not just read from a script and not just try and run the clock out. Hopefully we can have productive question and answer session that will lead us somewhere rather than just frustrate us. Certainly there's a number of issues regarding labor. There's a number of issues in regards to immigration and what its effect is on labor and vice versa. So hopefully we can explore some of those things going forward and come up with some answers. And I haven't been the critic for this department for a period of time, so sometimes some of my questions may seem like something I should know, but because I haven't been the critic, I may not be as up to speed as I should be. So I hope the Minister will bear with me, and I recognize also that the Minister of Labour is relatively new to the position of Minister of Labour, now the combined Ministry of Labour and Immigration. So with those few comments, I'm ready to proceed.
We thank the critic from the official opposition for those remarks. Under Manitoba practice, debate on the Minister's salary is the last item considered for department. Accordingly, we shall now defer consideration of line item 11.1a, contained in Resolution 11.1. At this time, we invite ministerial and opposition staff to enter the chamber, and I would ask the Minister and critic to please introduce their staff in attendance. In accordance with Sub-Rule 78.16, during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner, with questions put on the resolutions once the official opposition critic indicates that questioning has concluded. The Honourable Minister to introduce his staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I know I did this in the introduction, but because they're here, I'd like to introduce my staff again. Joining me today are Deputy Minister of Labour and Immigration, Catherine Gates, Alisa Ramarkan, the Assistant Deputy Minister of Labour, Carmel Chatron, the Assistant Deputy Minister of Immigration, and Melissa Ballantyne, the Executive Financial Officer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We thank the Minister for those introductions. The floor is now open for questions. The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think we'll cover some real general things first off. So can the minister undertake to give us a list of all technical appointments in his department, including names and titles?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to. List of technical officers. Karine Pelletier, the Vice Chairperson of MLB. The Colin Robinson, Chairperson for Manitoba Labour. I also have my Matthew Kwok, the Executive Assistant to the Minister, myself. Major Sharma, the Special Assistant to the Minister.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Can the minister undertake to give an organizational chart that lists all employees and program areas?
The Honourable Minister.
Budget 2023 supplement to the estimates of expenditure. The organizational structure is on page 14 for labor and immigration as of April 1st, 2023, with all the names that are on there. At the time, my deputy minister was Eric Charon, Finance Corporate Services, is here with me. Assistant Deputy Minister Melissa Ballantyne. As I mentioned, Manitoba Labour Board Chairperson Colin S. Robinson, the Labour Assistant Deputy Minister Alisa Ramertan, the divisions underneath the Assistant Deputy Minister comprise of Legislative Development, Employment Standards, where we have a Worker Advisor Office and Employer Advisor Office. There's also Employment Standards, Workplace Safety and Health, Inspection and Technical Services, along with the Immigration Division, Assistant Deputy Minister, who's with me here, Carmel Chartrand, which divisions that fall under that is the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, Strategic Initiatives, the Fair Registration Practices Office, and the Business and Integration Operations. All that can be found in the supplement to the estimates of expenditure on page 14 of the document.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
I thank the minister for that. Can the minister tell us what the vacancy rate in his department is, broken out by division, for example, vacancy for immigration, vacancy for labor, administration, and all those areas?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The vacancy rate for the Labour and Immigration was 17.9% as of February 28th of this year. The vacancy rate since February 28th we've continued to fill positions, currently in the process of hiring 5 positions. The Immigration Division is at 16% vacancy as of February 28th, but now it's 13%. And the Labour Division is, as of February 28th, 16%.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So if I heard the Minister correctly, the overall vacancy rate is 17.9%. Immigration, it was at 16%, it's down to 13%, and Labour is at 16% vacancy rate. Can the Minister confirm that that's...
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is correct.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
How long has the vacancy rate been running at 17%, 18%? Is it something that's happened in the last year, the last 2 years, the last 5 years?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As of January of this year, I know I've been the Minister for Immigration for 2 years, but as my colleague across the floor knows that I'm still a couple months into the file, that there are constant changes with respect to vacancies. We're constantly hiring personnel. There are changes. It's still relatively a new department. It's the newest department in government. So that is the information that I'll provide with him today.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So I get that the Ministry of Labour and Immigration has been a relatively new department. Specifically, in the past, it was the Ministry of Labour. So can the member break out those numbers specifically for the Labour part of his portfolio?
The Honourable Minister.
Yes, I get those numbers. Again, I just want to reiterate that it has evolved. I remember back in 2016 when we had formed government. There's been a number of titles: growth, enterprise, and trade. I know what Labour at the time fell under finance as well, and as well as consumer protection and government services, I believe, with the member from Brandon West. But in terms of updated numbers, I can get back to the critic on that.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Thank you, and I thank the Minister for that. I would appreciate if he undertakes to provide those numbers. I think they're worthwhile numbers to know. Is there a plan by the Minister's Department to hire enough people soon to start addressing that vacancy rate throughout his shared Department of Labour and Immigration?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards to vacancies in the hiring process, we're not immune to shortages as February 28th, and I can tell you that we're always hiring within both departments of labor and immigration. What I can tell the member opposite, as he is, I know that he hasn't been with the labor file in a while, but I know he has in the past, which is more relatively newer for me. And I've been in 2 years on the immigration file, and I can educate him on some things too with regards to the Immigration Advisory Council report. One of the recommendations on the report was to hire more personnel because of advocating for more allocations for our provincial nominee program so that we can welcome newcomers. So since we have advocated for those allocations, and since we received more allocations, 50% more, one of the recommendations from that report was to hire more personnel within the immigration division. So I just want to let him know for your information that as the minister responsible, that I'm very cognizant of these recommendations, and I want to put them into action.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
I appreciate the minister's answer, but I'm somewhat confused, I think, because on page 11 of his supplementary budget document, the number of full-time equivalents for 2022-23 was 263.7, and for 23-24 it shows exactly the same number. So is the minister saying that what's in the book is incorrect, that they're actually planning to hire some people to fill these vacancies? And if so, why wasn't that properly reflected in the document?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The document, the supplement of the estimates of expenditure, has those numbers. After the document was published, we received the information from the IAC report. We received the extra number of allocations that will be going to the province with respect to the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program. And naturally, those numbers will change because the recommendations to the report is to add more, to fill those vacancy rates, to add more staff to ensure that we can properly process those allocations so that we can get to our targets with regards to immigration.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So, if I'm to take what the Minister just said at face value, that would lead me to think that prior to this report coming out, even though there was 17.9% vacancy rate, there was no intention of hiring anyone to fill those vacant positions. It seems now that the Minister may have some desire to hire some people, but was that not the case when this estimate book was prepared?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Even prior to the document being published, we're always hiring, throughout the year, throughout the fiscal year. People come and go. The document shows the numbers where we're at, but what I can tell you as the information that we received after the document was printed is that we received more information from the report from the council, which recommended more allocations for our provincial nominee program, which we advocated for to the federal government. We received those allocations, an extra 50%. With more allocations means that there will be more processing of applications, welcoming more newcomers to our province, and therefore the numbers will change in a positive direction because we'll be hiring more staff to ensure that we can process those applications in a timely manner.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So right now, as it stands, there's nothing in the budget to indicate that there would be an increase in staff positions, even though the Minister has indicated that he's well aware that there needs to be an increase. And he's very specifically talked about the need to increase staff in the immigration part of his portfolio. Is there any plan to increase staff in the workplace health and safety end of, or the labor end of his portfolio?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, with regards to the total number of vacant inspector officer positions that are in the labor divisions, what I can tell him from branch to branch, the inspection and technical services, the inspectors, there are 20 positions, 7 vacancies, vacancy rate is 25%, and the recruitment in process is actually 4. The workplace safety and health is 47 positions. We have 2.5 vacancies, a 4% vacancy rate. There's 2 in the recruitment process. With respect to employment standards, there's 26 positions, 9 vacancies, a 35% vacancy rate, and then 4 in the recruitment process. So total 101 positions, 18 vacancies, a 21% vacancy rate, and 10 in the recruitment in process. The status of recruitment for the vacant inspector officer positions, The inspectors has approval to recruit 4 inspectors currently in various stages of competition process. With respect to workplace safety and health officers, recruitment of 2 officers underway, and employment standards, we have recruiting 4 officers by June. In addition, what I can tell them as well is that with respect to, again, the immigration file, because of the additional allocations that we do have plans to bring in more staff so that we can process those applications in a timely manner, welcoming more newcomers to our province.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
I thank the Minister for that. I have some questions that have kind of come to light, to me at least, because I still have some connections in my old role as a union safety rep and different things. So I understand that there has been several workplace health and safety officers that have retired of late, and some of them were qualified to do certain things because they came out of industry originally and had certain qualifications, and one of them that was brought to my attention was people that can inspect swing stages. That currently what happens, I'm told, is when new safety officers are hired, they ensure that they have safety certificates from a safety school type of thing, but they don't necessarily ensure that they have the experience or industry qualifications to do some of these more technical inspections for things like swing stages. Can the Minister comment on that?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to workplace safety and health officers, they go through a 3-week orientation. Every officer has an individualized training and development plan to prepare for specialization.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Okay, so thank you for that. So can the Minister tell us when the last time was that Workplace Safety and Health did an inspection on a swing stage?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, can the critic just repeat the question?
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Can the Minister tell us when the last time Workplace Safety and Health did an inspection on a swing stage?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Workplace Safety and Health conducts targeted enforcement activities throughout the province, focusing its efforts on practices with the highest risk of injury, illness, and non-compliance. Workplace Safety and Health conducts both proactive and reactive inspections and adjusts its approach as needed to remain responsive to injury and illness data and emerging issues. Workplace Safety and Health's enforcement strategy is also posted online in order to foster awareness and proactive prevention efforts. The last time we performed an inspection on a swing station on an elevated platform such as scaffolding was February 2023.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Thank the Minister for that. Could I get the Minister to share his thoughts on some of the requirements to become a workplace safety and health officer? Does he believe that it should be predominantly classroom experience, or does he believe it should be predominantly workplace experience specific to certain workplaces that the requirement for inspectors may be, for example, mines inspectors? One of the qualifications I know used to be that you had to have worked in underground mines, because that's mainly the type of mines we have. But is there anything built into other workplace health and safety officers, electrical inspectors, general workplace safety inspectors, that recognizes the experience factor in combination with some of the specific schooling that you would get if you got a safety certificate, for example? Does the hiring process recognize some experience, and does the Minister think it should?
We have some hands. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing that I can say with respect to specific provisions or topics covered by the Workplace Safety and Health Act or regulations. The Workplace Safety and Health Act is currently under review. The review was launched in August 2022 with 3 months of public consultation. A review committee consisting of labor, employer, and technical representatives has been instructed to review the submissions and provide its recommendations to government. We thank the committee for their important work, and we look forward to receiving its efforts. Government is committed to consulting with stakeholders and has struck a review committee consisting of labor, employers, and technical representatives to provide its advice and recommendations, a part of the Act review. We also recognize the important work of the Prevention Advisory Council, which provides advice and input to the Workers' Compensation Board regarding its injury and illness prevention activities and initiatives. Qualifications for this position, essential ones, include education, training, and experience in occupational health and safety and skilled trade or profession management or regulatory enforcement field may also be considered. Experience conducting inspections, investigations, audits, quality assurance, or program evaluation for the purpose of meeting accepted standards and or legislation. Sound analytical and problem-solving skills with ability to identify and record relevant information, evidence, analyze facts, interpret acts, regulations and standards, and determine options to resolve situations. Strong interpersonal skills with the ability to interact with potentially difficult individuals in a respectful, objective manner and work well in a team environment. The ability to exercise sound judgment and discretion. Excellent verbal communication skills. Strong written communication skills with the ability to write reports and related documents in a clear and concise manner. Ability to lead and manage difficult situations. Knowledge of occupational health and safety fundamentals, principles, rights, duties, and responsibilities. Ability to work independently. Strong organizational and time management skills with the ability to prioritize work and work under pressure to meet time-sensitive deadlines. Proficient with Microsoft applications such as Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, or equivalent software applications. So we all desire experience working in healthcare, social services, ergonomics, agriculture, or metal, wood, plastics, and or vehicle manufacturing. Post-secondary education in occupational health and safety, industrial hygiene, environment, health, labor, law studies, or a related field. The duties would include they conduct inspections and investigations into fatalities, right to refuse situations, discriminatory actions, serious incidents, and other related workplace concerns in all industry sectors. The position completes assignments in accordance with the Workplace Safety and Health Act, the Workplace Safety and Health Regulation, and the operational procedures set by the branch. The officer's work involves conducting inspections and interviews, preparing written reports on enforcement activities, issuing and determining compliance with improvement orders and stop work orders, and providing information to improve awareness of and compliance with safety and health legislation. The position may be called upon to give evidence at an inquest related to the incident or fatality, or provide evidence before the Manitoba Labour Board. I know that my critic can appreciate the job of these individuals, so he's asking me for my opinion. In my opinion, I believe, because he was asking whether it's a classroom setting or on-the-job training, in my opinion, it'll have to be a combination of both. Because when you're dealing with the public, you can learn it in the classroom, but it'd be good to have a mentor, and in on-job training, you'll get the real action happening with regards to on-job training by looking at a mentor with that understudy. So I think combination of both on-job training and the classroom will produce a quality worker with regards to what I described with those duties and job description.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
I thank the Minister for that, and I thank him for sharing his personal thoughts. Is it possible to know or find out from the most recent hires within the Department for Workplace Health and Safety inspectors, without revealing any personal information or anything of that nature, would it be possible to find out kind of what that combination of experience classroom might look like?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. With regards to the hiring process, I know he's asking about percentages or the number with regards to with respect to the process with these individuals when we hire them. Well, the hiring process is very objective. Candidates must meet the qualifications of that role. And that's far as I can go because of confidentiality reasons.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Thank the Minister for that. So in 2021, Bill 18 amended the Workers' Compensation Act, and that was passed. One provision in that particular bill at the time was a provision that called for the creation of a schedule of occupational diseases. Now, this would provide presumptive coverage for specific diseases, meaning that diseases are presumed to be caused by work unless proven otherwise. There are several jurisdictions that already have this schedule of occupational diseases listed. Can the Minister tell us what the most current status is on a schedule of occupational diseases to be covered under Manitoba workers' compensation, because at present there isn't one?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to answer my critic's question in a moment, but I just want to get back to, with regards to class training and on-job training. In addition to the 3-week in-class training, they do also an additional 9 weeks in the field. With regards to his last question, what I can tell him is that our government wants to ensure that all workers in Manitoba are safe at the workplace, going to work and coming home safe. No worker should suffer a workplace injury, illness, or death, and I commend the work of the Workers' Compensation Board, having met with them in my role the first couple months with the Chair, Michael Weir, and President and CEO, Richard Deacon. The WCB has regulation-making powers under the Workers' Compensation Act, and it's responsible for the schedule of occupational diseases, which I can tell the member is under development. So we've been working with WCB and other stakeholders. As I said, the regulation-making powers under the Act, the WCB Act, the Schedule of Occupational Disease regulation will be a WCB regulation. The WCB has regularly apprised the Manitoba Federation of Labour of the status of this project and has advised the Schedule of Occupational Disease will be complete by June 30th, 2023. The Workers' Compensation Board has provided the Manitoba Federation of Labour and other stakeholders a draft schedule of occupational disease and welcomes its comments by May 16, 2023. And I want to ensure that our government continues to make it a priority and be steadfast in our ongoing commitment to continue working with our partners in labour and management to improve occupational health and safety policies, procedures, and conditions in the workplace. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So we know that 22 Manitobans died due to workplace injury and disease in 2022. Can the Minister tell us what plans he's got in place, or his department has got in place, to eliminate workplace fatalities in Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Ken Rebeck and I of the Manitoba Federation of Labour, we participated in the annual day of mourning walk with all sides of the House, going from Union Centre to Memorial Park. First of all, one life lost in the workplace is one life too many. I want to express my sympathies to those who lost their loved ones at the workplace or those workers who suffered an occupational injury or accident. No one should ever go through this. Our government recently launched a legislative 5-year review of the Workplace Safety and Health Act with the mandate for the 2022-23 review. It's ensuring strong protections are in place that meet the needs of modern workplaces, improving harmonization and consistency with other jurisdictions, ensuring requirements are clear and reasonable, and meeting Manitoba's obligations under the Regulatory Accountability Act. The Workplace Safety and Health Act Review Committee consists of employers, workers, and technical experts to review the public submissions. We continue to consult with our stakeholders and with all Manitobans on this important piece of legislation. The workplace is continuing to evolve and modernize, as we saw with the recent global pandemic. That is why our government is reviewing the Act. I want to ensure that our government continues to make it a priority and be steadfast in our ongoing commitment to continue working with our partners in labor and management to improve occupational health and safety policies, procedures, and conditions in the workplace. Again, as I mentioned, Workplace Safety and Health conducts targeted enforcement activities throughout the province, focusing its efforts on workplaces with the highest risk of injury, illness, and non-compliance. Workplace Safety and Health conducts both proactive and reactive inspections and adjusts its approach as needed to remain responsive to injury and illness data and emerging issues. Workplace Safety and Health's enforcement strategy is also posted online in order to foster awareness and proactive prevention efforts. Workplace Safety and Health inspections average 5,400 per year, accounting for staffing variances, enforcement strategies, and operational initiatives. Workplace Safety and Health conducted more than 5,870 inspections last year, exceeding its inspections target by more than 350 inspections. 56% of these inspections identified contraventions, resulting in more than 9,800 orders and 279 stop work orders being issued, demonstrating that the targeted enforcement strategy is effective at identifying workplaces with compliance issues. In 2021-22, more than 6,400 workplace health and safety inspections were conducted, in part due to pandemic-related inspections. We are taking actions with improving and enhancing workplace health and safety legislation for the betterment of all workers and employers in Manitoba. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So once upon a time, there was a ongoing group, the Labour Management, no, not the Labour Management Review Committee, the Ministers' Advisory Committee on Workplace Health and Safety that was made up of Labour, industry, and government that reviewed things like the Workplace Health and Safety Act and regulations on a more ongoing basis so that they could stay ahead of the curve when it came to specific issues as they came to light. Specific to mining, there was the Ministers' Advisory Committee for the review of the mine regulation. Now, both of those advisory committees have been done away with. Does the minister see that there could very well be a benefit to those advisory committees being revived and meeting to review acts and regulations on an ongoing basis as opposed to every 5 years or after a catastrophe?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I can tell my critic is that our government is committed to consulting with stakeholders and has struck a review committee consisting of labor, employers, and technical representatives to provide its advice and recommendations as part of the Act review. We also recognize the important work of the Prevention Advisory Council, which provides advice and input into the Workers' Compensation Board regarding its injury and illness prevention activities and initiatives. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
So there was 22 Manitobans who died from work last year. Can the minister tell us how many of those 22 fatalities led to criminal charges?
The honourable minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I want to say one life lost is one too many, and there were 22. What I can tell my critic is that no criminal charges, however, however, we continue to work with Manitoba Justice and law enforcement to investigate all critical incidents, including fatalities. Some of these incidences are ongoing. There is investigations that are still ongoing with respect to some of these fatalities. And again, my sympathies go out to those families who have lost loved ones with regards to these fatalities.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
Can the minister tell us how many inquiries have been held as a result of 22 fatalities last year?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to how many inquiries with respect to fatalities, there were no inquiries last year. However, there are investigations into each incident are conducted by Workplace Safety and Health, and an investigation report is completed.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Can the Minister undertake to tell us over the last 5 years how many workplace fatalities resulted in prosecutions under the criminal code, how many workplace fatalities resulted in prosecutions under the Workplace Health and Safety Act, how many fatality inquiries were carried out as a result of workplace fatalities. This is people dying at work. How many of each one of those classifications have been done over the last 5 years?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the last 5 years, criminal convictions, there were none. Inquiries, there were none. Convictions under the Workplace Health and Safety Act, there were 35. Administrative penalties under the Workplace Safety and Health Act, there were 61. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
So of those 35 charges under the Workplace Health and Safety Act, and how many of those were specifically related to a fatality? How many of them were more proactive in that there hadn't been a fatality yet?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards to the convictions under the Workplace Health and Safety Act, there were 35, and I know my critic wanted to ask with regards to how many were related to fatality. That information is public on the Workplace Safety and Health website.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
One would think if it's available on the website that the minister would have access to it and he could answer the question today. How many of those charges, 35 charges under the Workplace Health and Safety Act, were a direct result of a fatality? How many were related to non-fatal?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we can get that information from the member if he needs it. What I can tell him that it's very detailed, and I just want to make sure that we get him that information so that we can get him the proper information so that we can best inform Manitobans with regards to the questions he's asking.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
I would appreciate if the minister would undertake to provide that information. Thank you very much. The minister talked earlier about stop work orders, and I don't unfortunately have the number written down. How many stop work orders were there in the last year? Is that number increasing, decreasing? Is there a trend there?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I can give him some details with regards to stop work orders year by year. In 2017-18, there were 346 stop work orders. 2018-19, there were 582 stop work orders. In 2019-2020, there were 399 stop work orders. From 2020-2021, there were 404 stop work orders. From 2021 to 22, there were 396 stop work orders. And in 2022-23, there were 278 stop work orders. So actually it decreased by 100 plus there.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Can the minister tell us what accounted for the decreased number of stop work orders? Was it that workplaces had suddenly become that much safer? Was it that there was less inspections done? Was there anything that the minister can advise that accounted for that reduction in the number when they were pretty consistent throughout the previous years.
The Honourable Minister.
Chair, for the question with regards to what accounted for the decrease in stop work orders. What I can tell my critic is that there was a downward trend that suggests that situations of imminent risk are reducing, which is a good thing. For example, the pandemic would be an example of one of them.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Can the minister tell us how many of those stop work orders came about as a direct result of a fatality, and how many stop work orders were not fatality related?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question of how many work orders were related to fatality and how many were not fatality related, what I can tell my critic is that we don't have a number right now of stop work orders that would be a result of fatality, but we know it is very few. Most are a result of proactive investigations.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
I could go on in this light for quite some time, but I think we'll maybe switch a little bit here in the essence of time. Does the minister have statistics on the demographics of employees within his department? For example, what percentage are women, percent Indigenous, other demographics, if the minister could provide that?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards to the demographics of department employees, again, I just want to let them know that this is a newly established department, and those answers will be in the next annual report.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
Can the minister undertake to provide us that information sooner than the next annual report?
The honourable minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards again to having the information with regards to demographics of the department employees prior to the next annual report, what I can tell my critic is that's a matter with the Public Service Commission, but we will take my critic's request for that information.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
One very specific question about fatality inquiries that I want to ask before we get too far away from that. So in 2018, there was a truck driver, Bradley Jackson, who died. He was driving a tanker truck that was involved in a motor vehicle accident. He was hauling liquid asphalt, hot asphalt at the time. Unfortunately, Mr. Jackson's accident happened while he was driving a Manitoba truck in the U.S. At the time, we tried to get a proper investigation and perhaps a fatality inquiry into that, because there was some thought that regardless of the immediate cause of the accident, which we were never really informed what that was either, because it happened in the States, that perhaps if the cab of the truck didn't have a window in the back, the hot asphalt wouldn't have been able to enter the cab, which was the ultimate cause of this young man's death. Is there any thought as to how we could have some kind of, if it's not an inquiry, because obviously the time has passed, to find some way to recognize what happened in that instance, proper investigation with some recommendations going forward, potentially to the trucking industry on the fit for purpose type of equipment that may prevent anyone else suffering a fatality like this?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, I remember the story with respect to Mr. Jackson. And the question is, how do we recognize the incidents and how do we prevent this type of how do we prevent this type of situation? Because an individual suffering, in this case, a truck driver, which is very, very unfortunate. Again, my sympathies to Mr. Jackson and his family. But what I can tell my critic is that we'd have to refer back to the investigation report for the details, work with stakeholders that are involved in this industry all around, because at the end of the day, I know that my critic and I are on the same page with regards to doing what's best to provide a safe workplace with all sectors, and in this case, truck drivers. But again, as I said, we'd have to refer back to that investigation report for details to ensure that we provide the right information and the right information with regards to a safer workplace.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Would the Minister be amenable to sitting down sometime in the very near future to see if together we can work on something to present to the trucking industry, perhaps, that may help this grieving mother who would like to see something take place to honor the memory of her deceased son, if there's some way that we can do something without going through a full fatality inquiry, that we can just make recommendations based on the knowledge that we have. Would the Minister be amenable to doing that?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would have no problem sitting down with my critic, as I have done in the past in my previous role, sitting with other critics with regards to coming up with solutions. And the only way you're going to come up with solutions is by talking and communicating with each other. So I'm very open to that. But again, respectfully, with regards to the situation, we'd have to refer back to that investigation report for the details, with regards to individual cases. But again, as I said, I'm open to sitting down with my critic as a result of providing solutions so that we can have a safer workplace for all Manitobans.
The honourable member for Flin Flon.
I appreciate that the minister is willing to sit down, and I look forward to doing that so that, like I say, we can bring some kind of closure perhaps to this grieving mother and provide a safer workplace for other young truck drivers. Just to touch a little bit on pay equity, a report from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives found that in Manitoba, the pay gap between men and women is way too high. For every dollar a man makes, a woman makes 71 cents. Can the minister explain what his department is doing to try and close this gender pay gap? Does the minister have a plan, and would he share that plan with us?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards to pay equity for men and the gender pay gap, what I can tell my critic is that Manitoba was the first province to pass legislation mandating pay equity in the public sector under the Pay Equity Act. This included the civil service, crown corporations, hospitals, universities, and school divisions. Full compliance with the Act was achieved in 1994, and the legislation continues to serve as a model for the private sector. Manitoba's Employment Standards Code prohibits discriminations in wage scales based on sex, if the kind and quality of work is the same or substantially the same. Manitoba's Human Rights Code prohibits discrimination on the basis of protected characteristics, including sex and gender identity. Government supports pay equity for all Manitobans and recognize there's always more work to be done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Member for Flin Flon.
So we know from my previous question where there's a pay gap of woman only makes 71 cents on the dollar for a man. We know that that gap gets even bigger for racialized and Indigenous women who only make 59 and 58 cents to the dollar respectively. The ministers talked about in the civil service what they've done to close that pay gap, but clearly in the private sector there's a huge gap. Does the minister have any plan to update Manitoba's pay equity law or to implement any kind of strategy to close that gap?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards to planning an update of Manitoba's pay equity law, or to close the gap, that actually falls under the minister responsible for Manitoba Public Service, which is the Minister for Consumer Protection and Government Services. But what I can tell my critic as the Minister of Labour and Immigration, we're going to continue to foster a diverse workforce. I'm very proud to be the Minister of Immigration as a person of, born in Canada, but of Filipino descent myself. I've seen many people from all walks of life coming from different parts of the world, coming to Manitoba. Our immigration numbers have been increasing, and that's why we are having more and more of a diverse workforce. So that issue is important to me, as it is for the minister responsible for Manitoba's public service. And in the role of Minister of Labour and Immigration, I'm excited to welcome more newcomers to our province. I'm excited that we received more allocations from the federal government, 50% more allocation, 50% more in total allocations. We have an Immigration Advisory Council report that was produced and released early this year. We are actioning these recommendations to ensure that we could fulfill the labor shortage throughout our province. I did 14 public consultations, meeting with many Manitobans from all walks of life in different parts of the province. And I know that the issue that you raised as a critic will be very, very important for these individuals when they come here. We want to welcome these Manitobans. We want them to be comfortable. And as I always say, we can always improve and enhance our programs and services. That's why we are improving the provincial NAMI program that a PC government created back in 1998. It's a flagship program that many provinces have emulated, and we are improving, enhancing, and modernizing that program so that we can fulfill the labor shortage and those gaps as immigration is a priority under the leadership of this Premier. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
Well, I might disagree with the Minister of Labour that he doesn't have any responsibility for addressing pay equity gaps. I understand that there's a minister responsible for the civil service, but there's a lot of workers in the province of Manitoba that don't fall under his jurisdiction, but do fall under the Minister of Labour's jurisdiction. So I would hope that the minister recognizes that there's huge pay disparities between men and women, and particularly between racialized and Indigenous women, that his department can undertake to find ways to address that in the private sector through regulation, education, whatever means are at his disposal. It's interesting, the minister talked about immigration, which of course is an important part of his portfolio, and I wish we had more time to talk about immigration. It's the trouble with sometimes these we don't have enough time to delve into everything we want to go into, but from July 2021 until 2022, Manitoba cities experienced the largest exodus of people to other provinces in at least 2 decades. Winnipeg lost 7,140 people, Brandon 981, Thompson lost 163. Can the minister tell us why he thinks so many people are leaving Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I can tell the member is that with the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program in 2019, there was a 75% retention rate based on the data that we collected. The Provincial Nominee Program drives immigration to our province, accounting for 90% of economic immigrants and for 2/3 of all immigrants to Manitoba. It's a very, very important program. Again, a program that created under a PC government back in 1998. We bring thousands of qualified skilled workers to Manitoba each year, and more than 170,000 nominees and their families have immigrated to Manitoba since its inception in 1998. The Provincial Nominee Program nominated a record number of 6,275 individuals in 2021, and a record number of applications in 2022, resulting in 6,367. Both years, that's the highest number of nominees since the program was established. Manitoba also saw a notable recovery in permanent residence landings in 2022, and a new record since the start of the MPNP, 21,645 permanent residents declaring Manitoba as their intended destination. With the new number of allocations coming to our province, 50% more, that's 9,500. We will be addressing our labor shortage through immigration. That's one variable, that's one component. Obviously, in my former role as the Advanced Education Minister, we'll be having individuals in those coming from post-secondary institutions, fulfilling those gaps as well. The Skills, Talent, Knowledge Strategy document outlines the information on how we are going to address those issues, and it states immigration is going to be a very key component of addressing the labor issue and welcoming more Manitobans to our province.
The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
I do have a question about statistics for the percentage of newcomers that arrive in Manitoba that stay for 5 years, 10 years. If the minister could undertake to provide that information, because I realize we won't have time to actually get a fulsome answer to the question today. With that, then I will not have any more questions if the minister agrees to provide that.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the question coming from my critic with regards to statistics. The last information that we have with respect to the retention rate, with regards to correlating with our flagship program, the Provincial Nominee Program, that again a PC party created back in 1998, PC government. It's a 75% retention rate, but that's the latest figures that we have based on the tax information from those individuals. But once we have more updated information on the retention rates with correlation with regards to NPNP applicants, I'd be happy to provide that to my critic.
Seeing no further questions, we will now turn to the resolutions, beginning with the second resolution, as we have deferred consideration of the first resolution containing the minister's salary. Resolution 11.2, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $21,628,000 for labour and immigration labour for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. Resolution 11.3, resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $9,411,000 for labour and immigration for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. The last item to be considered for the estimates of this department is item 11.1, subsection A, the minister's salary contained in resolution 11.1. At this point, we request all ministerial and opposition staff leave the chamber for the consideration of this last item. The floor is open for questions. The Honourable Member for Flin Flon.
I move that line item 11.1 bracket A be amended so that the Minister of Labour and Immigration salary be reduced to $21,000.
It has been moved by the honourable member for Flin Flon that line item 11(1)A be amended so that the Minister of Labour and Immigration's salary be reduced to $21,000. The motion is in order. Are there any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, is the committee ready for the question? Shall the motion pass? I hear a no. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All those opposed to the motion, please say nay. In my opinion, the nays have it. The motion is accordingly defeated. Resolution 11.1 resolved that there be granted to His Majesty a sum not exceeding $785,000 for Labour and Immigration Administration for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024. Shall the resolution pass? The resolution is accordingly passed. This completes the estimates of the Department of Labour and Immigration. The next set of estimates to be considered by this section of the Committee of Supply will be for Legislative Assembly.
Just pause for 1 second. Feel free to thank them for their participation.
I want to thank everybody for your participation in this thrilling afternoon at the Manitoba Legislature. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in online from all over the world and those who will come home from work tonight to watch these proceedings. We thank you. The hour being 5 p.m., committee rise, call in the Speaker. The hour being 5 p.m., this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until Monday at 1:30 p.m.